Welcome to Say Something Real. I am your guest host, Keith Parris, sitting in for Miss Michelle Bryant, who is traveling right now. So I want to say good morning to everyone. Uh, so this is what 7 o'clock looks like. Huh?
You know what it looks like. You've been in here before.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, it changes though.
It's
Kind
so
of like the weather, man.
I know because yesterday was, but hey, got that lawn cut before it rains, so it's all good, man. Because I know this is no mo. How do you say mow your lawn? No mo May.
Yeah,
Where they're encouraging people not to um, cut their lawns because of the combustion engines in lawnmowers.
is that what that was for? Because
Yeah.
I was with someone over the weekend who was complaining that their landlord does not cut in May.
Right.
And they couldn't figure out why. They say it was just being cheap. I didn't realize that there
But
was
it could have been that too. But yeah, that's
But
what.
doesn't that, like, if it's already high,
Yeah.
doesn't that really put you up against it? Because, I mean, it's hard to cut that grass when it gets so high. It's like labor.
Yeah, and I don't think, because normally, you could catch a citation on your property for that, but
Yeah, I'm told that in the month of May, the city won't even bother you.
Yep, they won't bother you. But hey, I had to cut mine, man, because a couple of things. I got 2 houses. We were between 2 houses for sale, so yeah, so it's got out and I didn't cut it, man. My godson got out and cut it.
So. Well, the thing is, so the significance of you being in between 2 houses that are for sale is that you didn't want to decrease the value of the other 2 homes by having your grass look like one of those kind of neighbors.
Because there's some cosmetic stuff we need to do anyway, some trim painting, but yeah,
So you were being considerate of the sellers.
Yeah, because at some point, we're going to sell our house, and hopefully we're going to get value,
get out of it what you've even an increase depending on.
We have I'm what we paid for it, and where the value of it now, the assessed value we don't know.
There you go.
But yeah, it's about 1.5 times, a little bit more than that, greater than when we purchased it. So
okay, so
and that's the thing
with the new assessed value, as far as with the new stuff that just transpired,
exactly,
did that kick in for you? Well, you won't know until you go to sell it.
Right. So we'll see what it is. We do know what the houses are going for on the block.
Not just on the block, but in the neighborhood, right? All of that factors, right?
And you've seen, because we're 2 blocks north of Wauwatosa, but I saw a house that was in Milwaukee on 68th Street, and it went up for sale and immediately sold. So certain areas is still a hot real estate market. I guess people who can, based on where they are and because I think the interest rate's now about 6%, 7% fixed. So that's pretty significant.
Are you in like walking distance of like Hart Park, stuff like that? That would be attractions for that neighborhood.
Oh man, we're about 2 miles from Hart Park. Yeah, Hart Park is on State.
Right.
Yeah, we're between Center and Lisbon. So.
Oh, you're up in there. Okay.
Yeah. So the Indris Park neighborhood.
Indris Park. I'm thinking. I don't know why I'm thinking about the Martin over in that
Martin
area.
Drive.
Yeah.
Which is another very nice neighborhood.
Yeah.
And they're doing a lot of seeing development going on over there, and so it depends on where you are in the city. Milwaukee has always, in my mind, been a city of neighborhoods and blocks. Like you can have one block that is incredible, and then you go 1 block over.
Right. What's the one just off Locust?
Grant.
Right.
Beautiful,
big, beautiful homes over there, man. Go around the corner, and my Lord,
you go west. Go east, and
right.
And it says, but real estate is a great investment because it usually appreciates in value. And that's why it's so difficult to probably go out and get a mortgage. I don't know if you did our signing. You go in and do all the paper, man. We were in there for like 1.5 hours just signing papers, for that house. So, all right, just a public service announcement. The Milwaukee Public School Board of Directors will be having a public hearing tonight on the budget. That starts at 5:30. This is a special board meeting to talk about the budget and what that looks like. And let me do full transparency. I voted for the referendum, but I'm a little curious to why are we looking at possible staff layoffs. Now, I think a lot of this, because this is an issue all over the country, is that there was certain hiring done during COVID, where they were receiving the assistance, COVID assistance money, and so school boards went out and hired specialists and other things like that. Well, that funding ends September 30th, and so it has to be used by then. And so they're looking at possible layoffs. But again, it's not just MPS, it's school systems all over the country that went in, had the COVID money. They were able to artificially increase staff. I say artificially because once that funding ends, if the local people are not going to pick up the cost of that, then you're looking at possible layoffs, which is really crazy because at the same time, we're hearing about a shortage of school teachers, right? And so if you want more information tonight, I know that there were a lot of people who they were all fired up right after the election and the referendum passing, and they said that they were going to be vigilant. They're going to go down. Well, tonight is one of those meetings where, and here's interesting because now you can go down and you're not going down in support of a particular school board director. You go down and you can get as much information and make comments on the budget. That again, that's this evening. Milwaukee Public School Administration Building. They're 5225 West Fleet Street at 5:30. They're also streaming live. So if you want to watch it, and you can stream. And then there's another meeting, a strategic meeting that is happening on, I think, May 16th, the strategic planning and budget meeting. And I think this is a special committee. Yeah, committee on strategic planning and budget. That meeting is Thursday, May 16th at 5:30. Now, look, I'm not a great writer, but I'm a great editor. I'm just looking at the notice here, and these are educators.
Uh-oh.
All right. So, Committee on Strategic Planning and Budget, 5:30, Thursday, May 16th. This is actually a notice from the School Board of Directors. And number one, consideration of the 24-25 superintendent's proposed budget with possible action on proposed budgetary amendments. If there's a 1, there has to be a 2. All right, that's my little pet peeve. All right, I got that.
So there is no 2.
There is no 2. So then you don't put a number on it. You just put the item in. It drives me nuts, man. If there's an A, then there must be a B.
Right.
That's how it works.
You suggest.
Well, no, that's
so
writing
you're
rule.
Suggesting that there is going to be something behind it.
Right.
Aside from that, then it's just the
that
agenda item.
That's it. You could bullet point it, but man, don't put it. And these are educators. This drives me nuts, man. That just grinds my gears. Now but if there's a 1, there must be a 2. That's just how it works. Okay. All right. Also, today arguments will be before the Wisconsin State Supreme Court in terms of ballot boxes. People remember that basically 2 years ago, the conservative Wisconsin Supreme Court, they didn't outlaw ballot boxes, but they severely limited access to ballot boxes. And remember, you could go during COVID, we could go over to Atkinson Library. As a matter of fact, I did drop my absentee ballots off at Atkinson Library for the April 2020 election. What happened was, because of COVID, I think they said something like 2.5 million people voted absentee in Wisconsin. Because either the closing of the polling places, the fear of going out so a lot of people took advantage of it. As a matter of fact, because there was so much confusion going into the April election, where we didn't know first. They thought they were going to postpone it, then they weren't going to postpone it. The Supreme Court said, no, go ahead and have the election. One of the reasons why they wanted to go ahead and have the election was they felt like that would benefit Mr. Kelly, who was running for Supreme Court, very conservative individual. That did not happen. He lost. And then there was controversy because there were some people who were very critical of what happened in the city of Milwaukee where we only had 5 polling places open. Some people were arguing conspiracy. And I pointed out to people, we had 5 open here. Chicago had 12 open. Chicago has 3 million people. They had 12 open because of COVID. Now, I understand it was a politically charged situation then, a hotly contested mayor's race, and we were going back and forth on,
Didn't the mayor have something to do with that decision making, though, that there would only be 5?
No, that was the election commission, and that was based on.
He appoints election commission.
Yeah, but here's the problem with this, Debo. If he would have, let's say it was the mayor, it wasn't, but let's say it was the mayor, and we open up all these polling places. The people who worked the polls were elderly people, primarily. If you ever been to the polls, usually retired individuals, elderly individuals. People most vulnerable to contracting and having a bad COVID experience were the elderly. So let's say we open up the polling places and all these elderly people get sick. Somebody would jump out and say, see, shouldn't open up the polling places. All our people got sick. Now, I know there's some people out there believing that it was a conspiracy to go after a particular candidate. That ain't. It was so much confusion because then we overwhelmed the system. There were people requesting absentee ballots, I think 4 or 5 days before the election. The election system couldn't handle that. So there were people, and then they went out and we had the 5 polling places. Now, they said Madison had 12. But Madison deals with a different demographic, probably working their polling places. And again, Chicago had 12. Chicago, 3 million people because of COVID. So I understand all those things kind of lined up. And there were people out there who had their feelings on it. But the reality was that with all the confusion going on, yes, we could do it. And then the other piece of it, even the absentee ballots that arrived after the election day, at first they could be counted, then, okay, they won't be counted. So there was a lot of confusion going into that. And so, yeah, I know people put it on the mayor. The mayor appointed that person, but this is just Keith, just sitting here watching it. But yeah, I mean, it was something. So anyway, so what they did, the decision 2 years ago, basically limited ballot boxes to being, I think, at the polling places where people were actually go and vote, or either
wasn't
central
something
location.
in regards to that as to being unsupervised, as to
and they
one of the factors. Right.
And come to find out that the ballot boxes were more secure than mailboxes. As a matter of fact, I saw one they were showing on television this morning. They had one ballot box where they put it right behind, those barriers so you can't crash. I mean, because 2020 was the most secure election in the history of this country.
Not according to
one individual. Yes. Yeah. So we'll see what happens. We're probably, from any indication of what people are saying in terms of the arguments, the decisions, looks like we probably will have access to ballot boxes. And, here's something that's real interesting. For the most part, Democrats didn't do absentee ballots. That was really one of the favorite means of voting for the elderly and tend to be Republican. So Republicans basically cut off their nose to spite their face, because once the Democrats said, hey, look, with COVID, you might want to consider absentee voting. And again, almost 2 million people voted absentee. So that tells you something about it, where we are. Now, all you folks out there who support a particular party, understand that this party is really about voter suppression, right? Because lower turnouts benefit Republicans. Higher turnout benefits Democrats. And so the big question comes, I'm going to buy the book. I was watching a documentary this morning, started yesterday, watched this morning. I'll get a chance to talk to Pastor Richard Shaw a little bit about this, but it's called Bad Faith. And Bad Faith is really talking about the rise of white Christian nationalism in America and the danger of white Christian nationalism. And one of the things that one of the leaders of this group said, was that if we can suppress the number of people who vote, then our movement will win. That's the great danger in people thinking that you can sit out the election because it don't matter. It does matter, because there are agendas happening out there based on legislation, right? Based on who is making those laws. And for folks to kind of sit back and kind of act like, oh, and you ain't deep. Stop acting like you deep because you decide you're not gonna vote. You're not deep. You know, if nothing else, because what happens is, brother, what happens, sister, and you're also deep, is that you're not voting benefits the very people who do not, or who are very hostile to your interest. And the same deep Negroes who will sit up here and didn't go vote will then, as my guy, Brother Townsend, said yesterday, if you don't vote, you ain't got nothing to complain about.
Right.
Real talk. And the problem
But they're the first ones.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man, I knew they wasn't going. Who'd you vote for? Oh, I didn't even vote. Shut up. As Little Richard said, shut up, shut up.
I mean, you know, and I'm so tired of deep Negroes thinking you all deep. You ain't deep. Get involved. You know, I wish that we're in a situation where you don't have to go vote. And the reason why I say this is, as I was watching this documentary, I saw all the money that the Koch brothers and others have put into a certain agenda, right? And the Dems are really behind the eight ball. One of the things about Act 10 in Wisconsin, everybody said, oh, it means that we don't have to negotiate with unions anymore. But the other thing it did was, you used to have, I think they were called closed shops. So everybody, whether you were in the union or not, you paid union dues, because the argument was you benefited for what unions negotiated in terms of contract.
As far as the House.
Right, representation. So if you're benefiting from this, then you need to contribute to this. When they went to Act 10 and told people, in effect, you don't have to join the unions are decertified, money that would go into the union's political action committee was cut dramatically. So the union's political action committee, well, I won't put the Teamsters in on this, would be that counter argument, right? Because it really is about information. It is about the information that you receive. That's the benefit for those folks who listen to WNOV. The level of information that you get on these airways, right, should help you then make an informed decision as it relates to, not going to say how to vote, but in your voting and in your civic involvement. So it becomes really important for people to kind of understand, because they talk about the number of local newspapers that are closing. So now you have this vacuum of who getting your information. So people in certain areas are looking at Newsmax, the Sinclair networks, you know, which tend to be very, very conservative, and Fox. That's where they're getting their news. Well, they're not getting news, they're getting propaganda. And so people out there, but if they're spending hundreds of millions of dollars, what happens? And I'll roll it back real quick. You know, we've been talking about abortion. That wasn't even an issue. Abortion wasn't really even an issue for evangelicals. You know, Roe v. Wade was decided, I think, in 1971. And the first time you heard evangelicals talk about abortion was in 1972, 1977. And they understood. So again, when I get a chance to talk with Pastor Shaw this morning, we'll talk about that in terms of movement towards justice and the counter to that move towards justice. You're inside Say Something Real. I'm your guest host, Keith Parris, sitting in for Miss Michelle Bryant. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back. real ladies' night.
Yeah, not. It didn't say ladies' morning, so you okay?
Yeah. So again, I'm Keith Parris. I'm sitting in for Miss Michelle Bryant, who is someplace in Greece right now, and that man, that would be a fun trip.
Go ahead.
What? Just go to Greece?
Just go.
Yeah, that'd be a very interesting trip, and it'd be interesting for me because God, dude, I love the ancient philosophers. So Aristotle and Socrates and Plato. Man, as a matter of fact, in my phone, two essential books in my life is the Bible and then Plato's Republic. So that would be interesting. Just kind of go and soak up all that ancient wisdom. I guess there's someplace permeating in the ruins there in Greece. Trump hush money trial. Michael Cohen's testimony yesterday.
Haven't seen a lot on it. Was it pretty damning?
Yeah. What was really damning was not so much in terms of evidence, because they have all the documents showing what they've done. There's a paper trail.
Right.
But the question is, was he doing this hush money payoff because he was concerned about the election? Because all this came out, I think, in October of 2020, and then the Access Hollywood tape came out. So you got this concern. And here's the thing that I knew, and this was how the Trump people really didn't think they were going to win that election.
I don't think they did either. I think they didn't. They looked like a deer trapped in headlights when they won.
And because they had one size, I remember they had a smaller ballroom, and then when it looks like they're going to win, they quickly changed to a bigger ballroom. And so Stormy Daniels, where Trump had an affair with her. Now, I don't know why this wouldn't sink other elected officials, because what this dude has done is just, his rap sheet is just incredible. But people would suspend, I guess, good judgment. I just heard where the evangelicals said that he is like King Cyrus, and that he is going to, here you have this pagan king who's going to free evangelicals. And this is why evangelicals are so supportive of him. Let me say, it ain't got nothing to do with Jesus. It has everything to do with power. And when you begin to look at some of the things that are happening out there and what Donald Trump does, one, the change of the Supreme Court. Well, no, before I get to that, let's get back to the hush money trial. And the most damning, I thought, a piece of testimony was, and it wasn't just Michael Cohen said that, there were others who were saying, well, so was it a question of the campaign, or was it a question of how would affect his wife, Melania? He could care less how it affected her. Obviously, he could care less, right? I mean, he went out and had an affair with Stormy Daniels when she's recovering from childbirth. So, no, does he care about her? And I think the line was, even if she got upset and she wanted to leave, I won't be on the market long. So he could care less about how it impacted her. He could care less about how she's publicly embarrassed. None of that really matters. And so that tells you something. I was talking to someone about stand by your man. Wow. I mean, to the point where it doesn't matter to him if he publicly humiliates his wife. And then you have people who are supportive of him. Again, white evangelical preachers and leaders who are supportive of him, who would have issues with anyone else who had extramarital affairs, did cover up of those extramarital affairs. I mean, the whole thing. They even talked publicly the way he talked about those things. Like, it doesn't really matter. We received a text from Michelle, and there was an article that says that when Joe Biden comes in to tell you, black people, that Trump is telling you exactly what he is going to do, you need to believe it. Well, there's a whole lot of folks out there who going like, oh, it ain't raining. It ain't all that. It ain't, yeah. Man, we need to get woke here, y'all, because this idea, all these changes in the country. I don't know if you remember, we were talking last week about the Shenandoah school district in Virginia had taken the names after George Floyd in 2020, had taken the names of Stonewall Jackson and Robert E. Lee off of 2 grade schools. That was 4 years ago. They voted to bring it back. They voted to bring it back. So anytime, and then when you look at people, you know, Donald Trump, the Tea Party, and others are direct reaction to Barack Obama and Barack Obama being elected. So it says something in this country where you have people, and for all the conservative Republican Negroes like a Tim Scott, who will sit up and tell you that racism is not today. We don't have racism, that America is a colorblind society. That is not true. Every gain, it seems, that black and brown people have made, every gain that LGBTQ people have made, there are people there who are trying to roll it back, right? And that whole make America great again is something that Ronald Reagan said in 1980. And the line is, let's make America great again. And what does great America look like? It is white male dominated, right? It is suppression of the rights of the minorities in the country. There is people out there with this groupthink when it comes to religion, that America was founded on religion. America was not founded on religion. America was founded on the principle of free enterprise and exploitation of black bodies and brown bodies and the stealing of the land of the indigenous people. That's what America was founded on, okay? So this whole idea that America is a Christian nation, it was founded on Christianity, I think they used the term God once. It is not a document. Most of those guys, if they were anything, they were theists. Thomas Jefferson did a whole Bible where he took all references of God out the Bible. So there are people out there now who are saying we're doing this, and so even in my own life now, there are a lot of questioning I'm having in terms of my religious catechism and things that we have been taught, and we do that, and then we subvert or we defer issues of justice, right? Because people have gotten us more focused on going to heaven than dealing with some of these earthly issues, which is a heavy lift when it really is really about justice. It was something I heard somebody say one time that really fascinated me, because when the Trump administration got in, he appointed someone who had been fighting against the EPA for years to run the EPA. What does that mean when you think about that? Oh, no big deal. It's the environment. And then when you look at the people who are apt to support a Donald Trump, it's the Hunt brothers, it's the Koch brothers, it's these oil folks who could care less about what the environment is, and the fact that we're polluting the environment and people are dying, and we're really looking at a real existential kind of crisis when it comes to the environment, greenhouse gases. And so when people say, look, don't worry about it. Nothing to see here. We're going to be okay. We're not going to be okay. And I know it seems alarmist for people to say, why are we talking about this? It's no big deal. I'm not going to be around anyway. I mean, when you look at the fact that in the last 4 years at least, we've had some of the hottest temperatures. And I think last year was the hottest year on record in terms of temperature in the world. That's a problem, because the earth is being thrown off its balance in terms of what we're doing in terms of the climate. And so if people say that, and then we won't even get into other issues when it comes to social justice, where you have a Supreme Court now who or really, they used abortion. They used abortion as a rallying cry for folks, then to put certain justices on the Supreme Court. So Neil, was it Gorsuch? I never can think of the last young lady they put on something daily. Kavanaugh. These folks are conservative. So you sit up and yes, they knocked out Roe v. Wade, and then that opened up a whole can of worms for the evangelicals, because what they missed or what they didn't care about was that more than 60% of people in the country believe that women should have a right to safe and reliable abortions. And then here's the other piece of it. Abortion is a medical issue. That is an issue between the woman and her doctor. That is a medical procedure. And then the very people who will say that, I'm against abortion, I want to protect the life in the womb, are then the very same people who cut programs that benefit the life once it's outside the womb. So why is life so important in the womb, not as important once it gets outside the womb? That might be a tale right there. And then you use things like people have equated abortion to murder, right? And it gets down to, it's almost a religious thought. There are women who have put their lives, or their lives were put in danger because of a very difficult or complicated pregnancy, right? Or them taking this pregnancy to term, and the child is going to come out where they won't live very long. So, we're having these discussions. A lot of times it becomes emotional. There are buttons that you can push. And here's the one thing about, descendants of enslaved African people. We love Jesus. Oh, we love Jesus. Now, that don't mean just because we love Jesus that we necessarily follow what Jesus tells us to do. That's a very different thing. I was listening to Brother William Barber, and he was talking about this idea that, there is this whole white Jesus movement out there, which has everything to do with nothing but worship of a white Jesus. And there's a whole lot of black folks, we were doing tongue in cheek a few months ago when we asked those questions on the wall, like if you had white Jesus, who would be on the wall? White Jesus, John Kennedy, Martin Luther King. We need to replace somebody on the wall with Barack Obama. And the right answer to that question was we would replace white Jesus. But I heard people talk about Kennedy. It's like, dude, what do you mean Kennedy, man? And that whole idolatry, white male superiority. I was talking to a young man. He was going to run for president of the National Baptist Convention. And I asked him, I said, should we be a little concerned about the Calvinism that's kind of creeping into the American religious landscape? And he looked at me. One, I don't think he quite understood what Calvinism was. But Calvinism is a strain of religious thought that says that God has chosen people, and that there are chosen people. It's called the elect. Now, those chosen people tend to look a certain way. Chosen people don't look like you and I. The chosen people are typically, if not exclusively, white males. Those are God's elect. Those are God's chosen. And that's why you will hear me when people say, well, God said that the children of Israel, he dude, really? Children, there were a particular group of people who wrote the book who obviously would write the book from their perspective, who would say that they were God's chosen. But why would God choose anybody over anybody else? That's problematic for me. What? That would make God capricious and arbitrary, and God would have favorites. And then I don't even know, wow, this idea that God has favored people. And And there are people out there who are really believing that God has favored people. So why would God favor a European white male over a starving child in Chad? What kind of God is that? And so we go around and we preach that, and on a religious level, that's one thing, but that's also now permeated into our politics, into our democracy, and whether or not this idea, as imperfect as democracy is, it is far better than an autocracy. It is far better than a theocracy. We need to be mindful that the way that we do it, again, people have been manipulating the democratic system since forever, because part of the democratic system obviously is elections and people's right to participate in elections. So I'm real concerned about this, and it kind of gets back to all it takes, as I get back to the Trump hush money trial, all it takes is one juror for them to have a hung jury. And that's a very real possibility, that in spite of all the evidence that's being presented, could be one juror who will hold out and really believe that, Donald Trump shouldn't be tried for this. You're already hearing people say that this is where he's being persecuted, and they're going after him because he wants to be, or he's running for president of the United States, and that this is why people are going after him. This is just really amazing to me, man. And the fact that there's been no movement in terms of his support. The people who support him really, 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 really support him. They're going to go down for the cause. Those are the people who were part of January the 6th. And every now and then I will see something that reminds me of just how precarious our democracy is, when you saw a group of people who would not accept the election results to the point that then they would go in and basically take over the Capitol, and that there would in effect be a riot. Now, of course, they didn't call it riots. It looks like only Black people and poor people riot. They were doing an insurrection. Hell, it was a riot, man. That if you saw that behavior, and then here we go, I bet you if that was Black Lives Matter, that would have been dealt with very differently. Yeah, riot. It would have been dealt with very differently than when these folks showed up and did what they did. Carla, welcome to the program.
Oh,
good morning.
Yes, good morning. I was calling in response to the statement you just made, and I know that it says in the Bible, like, many are called, but few are chosen. Mm-hmm. And then in the Holy Quran, it says, Allah chooses who he pleases. And then there's another statement that I was listening to Wardi Muhammad. Y'all don't never hardly mention him, the son of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Mm-hmm. And he was saying that the religion of Islam is for all people. All people. But I think I just messed that one up. But anyway, can you just respond to what I said about many are called, few are chosen, and then in the Holy Quran it say Allah chooses whom Allah pleases. You want to choose. So just respond on that, and I'm gonna hang up and just go with it. Is this Keith? Is Keith? Is Mr. Parris?
Yeah, this is Keith.
Oh man, yeah, I recognize your voice. You standing in for Michelle this morning?
Yeah. Hopefully,
that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, hopefully I don't get her program canceled. But yeah, I'm sitting in for it this morning.
Oh man, we.
Well, I'm gonna respond. Don't go anywhere. Let me respond to that because when you said few,
I'll hang up, okay?
Well, don't hang up.
Don't hang up, okay?
Yeah. When it says few are called, few are chosen. This is really, Jesus was talking about the work that needs to be done. It's taking Matthew's 20:22. Let me do the whole thing here, but it says 14. Here we go. So then they said it
Matthew 2:22.
Yep. And it says that, in fact, this said the king to the servants, bind him hand and foot, take away. For many are called, but few are chosen. And so what it was is that, there are many who are called, but very few people might show up, in terms of what they're calling, in terms of the work that people might have to do in the kingdom. Look, for religions, and I'm doing this at 35,000 feet. Religions will always operate from their perspective. Right? What their worldview is, what their goals are in terms of religion. And there are some who will believe that God will choose one group over another group. And then it is codified in their scriptures or their sacred text. I think that that's hard to explain. I know that's a belief system. But just for me personally, I don't accept that God has favorites.
And me also, and then when one of my dear Christian brothers, I love my Christian brother, I'm Muslim, but however, he was telling me this, and he was telling me this from the perspective that he had gotten called from the Almighty to become a preacher or a pastor or a minister of his little storefront church he was starting. And then he was communicating to me that scripture, and he was saying it's a lot of brothers and people who think that the Lord has called them to preach and deliver the word and deliver the scripture. But he was saying, many are called, but few are chosen. And that's why I always remember that statement. But now I understand the statement that the Muslims say, which says that Allah chooses whom Allah pleases. That means Allah chooses.
And it's interesting because those two similarities in terms of the religion is that the only two evangelical religions in the world is Christianity and Islam. They're the only two religions that go out and actively recruit people to become part of their religion. Most folks, it is culturally, if you're Buddhist, if you're Hindu, if you're Sikh, there's these cultural things you do. But Christianity and Islam have pretty much gone out to conquer the world for God, right? What is it? If Muhammad can't come to the mountain, take the mountain to Muhammad. There are people who took the message of Jesus, when I think in Matthew 20, what did I misquote it?
No, you said I remember it being said as if the mountain don't come to if Muhammad don't come to the mountain will come to Muhammad. But that is really that I say, woo, that's like really a animation,
Right. I think that, but to spread it, and look,
I never really put it in my mind to understand that. They say, but the way I heard it was, if Muhammad go to the mountain, or if Muhammad don't go to the mountain will come to Muhammad. I don't know, something like that. But I'm probably misquoting it. But I'm in agreement with what you're saying in terms of being chosen, being a chosen person and a chosen religion because you believe a certain way. And I'm definitely in agreement with you on that.
Right. I think it says, and I think this is taken from, if the mountain won't go to Muhammad, then Muhammad must come to the mountain. Muhammad called the hill to come to him, and when the hill stood still, he was newer, a wet, abashed, but said, if the hill will not come to Muhammad, Muhammad will go to the hill. And so some people looked at that in terms of expansion. But again, when you look at Islam, you look at Christianity, we actively recruit members. Right. I mean, we actually.
And what? Like they say, disclaimer, the fine print in that for the Muslims is this: there is no compulsion in religion. You know, we say that the Almighty makes Muslim. You cannot force nobody to become a Muslim. You just spread the message in the very delicate and the best way you can, and then you just let it go. You've done your job. Right. But there's no compulsion to force anybody to come to be a Muslim.
Right. All right. Appreciate you, man.
Well, I'm going to call again.
All right, man. Thank you for calling. I
appreciate it. I listen to you a lot.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
We're inside Say Something Real. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
I was saying to myself, boy, this guy's a consummate professional.
Until then.
Until right there.
Until right then. But anyway, get phone lines open 414-444-5250, 414-444-5250. Again, this is Keith Parris, and I'm sitting in for Miss Michelle Bryant, who's traveling. And we were just having this whole idea. I think, again, if you just take it from, 35,000 feet, when you're just looking and doing an observation, what one of the byproducts of expanding one's religion is that there's usually an issue of land, because once you expand that usually conquer land. I don't know if people remember when ISIS was really at its peak, and they talked about this caliphate, right? But it was the land. They declared territory, right? And so when we see the expansion, we're not even going to talk about the fraught history of Christians, missionaries who go into areas where there are dark people, and they go in and they, as they said in South Africa, they came in with the Bibles. We have the Bibles, they have the land. And so religion has been used as a way to, one, to justify enslavement, two, to justify people taking land. When you look at something like Manifest Destiny, here's the other piece of this, the discovery doctrine. I don't know if people are familiar with the discovery doctrine that says that if Europeans show up to Chad, which has always been Chad, and people living there, and then they discover it, it's their land. Again, the church had a hand in that expansion and then in that stealing of the land. Caller, welcome to the program.
Good morning, Brother Reverend Parris and Brother Debo.
Good morning,
this is
Brother Riley.
Prince Riley. How are you?
Good, sir. How are you?
Okay. Thank you for accepting my call. And I just want to say thank you, brothers, for doing such an excellent job. It's always a pleasure to hear both of you, two of my favorite brothers. That's all I want to say. And again, thank you for accepting my call.
Appreciate
Have
you.
a good day.
All right. Thank you, Brother
Bye.
Riley.
Bye.
Yeah. We grew up together. 414-444-5250, 414-444-5250 inside Say Something Real. I'm your guest host, Keith Parris, sitting in for Miss Michelle Bryant here this morning. What an honor. And the fact that she would even trust me to be able to do this. Thank you. Again, so we'll see today if we get back to the Trump hush money trial. Michael Cohen's testimony will continue. The defense will cross-examine him today. The problem that they have, I think, is that they're going to try to show that he's a tainted witness because of him being convicted of a crime. And I think there's, and I don't know the Latin for it, but they said if you lie about things in the past, you lie about all things, that's an assumption that people can make. But again, I think in this trial, the evidence seems to be pretty overwhelming in terms of the paper trail. I don't think that the DA would have brought a case if he did not think that he had strong evidence to win a conviction when it comes to Donald Trump. It becomes frustrating, though, right? Because there are people out there who really love and believe in justice. And there's this sense that this dude is really either above or somehow he's exempt from regular justice that most people would have to deal with in their lives if they committed the crimes that allegedly he has created. In the documents trial down in Mar-a-Lago and other places, Judge Cannon has basically just postponed the trial. Her argument is because it's going to take time to go through the sensitive documents, these top secret documents, and that's going to take time. People didn't know, and it's really funny how life works because, your judges are randomly assigned, right, by lot. And so, of course, he would get a judge that he appointed to the bench, and she's doing all she can. She's doing all she can to help Donald Trump. So this whole idea that a judge should be, impartial, you should step back, and the only thing you want to make sure is that the rules of law are followed. She's really tipping the scale. And what he wants to do is delay. He certainly wants to delay the document trial and the January 6th trial, because those are federal charges. And what he can do, because the Department of Justice are bringing those charges, if he can just run it out and then he wins and he becomes president, obviously he appoints the Attorney General, and the Attorney General is going to go in and kill those cases. And so that's another reason why I believe he's running for president, is that he's really, really, really little concerned in the back of his mind about going to jail. And that could be a very real possibility if the evidence is what it is. I mean, the document case was real simple. Once they sent you a letter saying, hey, dude, you need to bring us back the papers. Once they send you that letter, send the papers back. You know, oh, I accidentally took them. Oh, I didn't know. Oh, my bad. Oh, boo, 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 boo. That's what Joe Biden did. Oh, my bad. No. He wrongly uses the Presidential Record Act to justify his theft of those documents. I mean, it's crazy, man. Now, on the surface, in America, you're innocent until proven guilty, right? But it seems pretty obvious that just based on what has been part of the public record, they sent you numerous letters. They contacted you. Then you moved the files around to hide them. But as my mother says, some folks can't do wrong right. They got you on video doing it. So, I mean, and I think that's why he wants to win. And folks, I don't know if you're paying attention. He's leading. I think he's up 2 points here. I mean, dude is in swing states. And in his mind, he's putting New Jersey into play. I don't know when's the last time New Jersey voted for a Republican for president. It's been years. So there are people out there who are indifferent. There are people out there who are saying, oh, man, it don't really matter. You know, no major, no big deal. You know, if he gets in, ain't nothing going to change. You can ask the people of Germany.
He already stacked them courts.
Oh, he stacked the courts already, man. I mean, that was out. And this Judge Cannon was an appointee of Donald Trump, right? So it does matter. It does matter who's in the Senate, who controls the House, right? Now, not for judgeships. That's in the purview of the Senate. But man, there are people out there who are playing for real. They're in it to win it, right? And there's some of us who are so naive when it comes to the world, and we just don't believe that people will do all these awful things, and God will step in. We just pray God will step in. Wrong. You got to do a little bit more than pray, right? And that's always just kind of throw my hands up and I'll put it in the hands of the Lord. I don't know how involved the Creator is in partisan politics. Now, if you listen to one group, they would make you believe or want you to believe that God has ordained them to make America a Christian nation. Okay. All right. That's the real genius of America. Now, again, as imperfect as this system is, one of the real geniuses was that they had no respect of a religion. There was no national religion. As a matter of fact, some of the people who had come to America came to America either because of the tyranny of the Catholic Church in the countries that they were in, or the tyranny of the Church of England, right? In terms of being able to have so much power over a country and its people. It used to be that in certain European countries, the church and the king and queen were one, right? And so, as a matter of fact, Henry VIII started the Church of England because the Pope wouldn't grant him a divorce. And so he said, bump you, I'll start my own group. And so that's where we get Anglicans. That's where we get Episcopalians. So yeah, this idea, and I don't know why I'm railing so much on this idea of religion, but I think religion is good. Let me say something else. When the guy was talking about fewer called, many are called, fewer chosen, and we were talking about the whole evangelical movement, people will use Matthew, the Great Commission, to justify the expansion of Christianity. Now, I don't know if that's what Jesus envisioned when he talked about that, you should go out through the world baptizing believers, where you would have a group of people who would then exploit people in the name of Jesus. That to me is really frightening. All right, 414-444-5250, 414-444-5250. Has anybody seen the young man, the airman, where the police went to?
Yeah, went into his wrong apartment.
Went to the wrong apartment. The dude, and then the chief of police is lying, because my understanding, they have a warrant, but they have the wrong address. Breonna Taylor, right? Wrong place. Person wasn't there. Shoot up the place. Would come then, knocks on the door, said that they were the police, covered the peephole so the guy could not see who in fact it was. He comes with a gun, because he doesn't know, a gun that he could legally obtain. And I want to say that it was like 15 seconds, and the cop just opened up on him. Just opened up. And then the police chief or the sheriff gets up and he lies and says that no, he never covered the peephole where the body cam shows in fact he had. And so there's going to be an investigation. I'm sure that they're going to try to show that this was justifiable, because the cop is going to say, I feared for my life. Okay? I feared for my life. And as much as me like to say, well, that's anytime they walk up with anybody with a gun.
But you're in the wrong place.
In the wrong place? Oh, it's a lawsuit. Oh, it's definitely going to be a lawsuit. Wrong place. And that's the problem a lot of times with these warrants. You go in and it really doesn't matter. And here now becomes a question of, it's one of your civil rights, what is that this whole idea, because the warrants have to be sworn out by a judge. You have to have probable cause to say that here's why I'm going into this residence, and being able to, illegal search and seizure, where you're going in. And so there's a protection there. If that was a white dude, he would have been trying to, man, put the gun down. I'm a cop. I'm sorry, wrong place. We didn't have that discussion. And then when the guy is sitting there and it becomes obvious to the cop that something is wrong, maybe I am in the wrong spot, he doesn't render aid. And you can hear the guy basically sitting there, suffering, and he's not rendering aid. There is such an indifference that people have to life, right? And when people begin to talk about, and this is not every cop, I get all of that. But it just seems to me, and anybody who is observing, that Debo and Carvey and we don't get the same considerations someone else is going to get.
This is true.
The assumption is that, you must be up to no good. You black, and then again, in his apartment, wrong apartment. And then that kind of gets us back to, Breonna Taylor, where it was wrong. And then you get, because skin don't make kin, you get this brother, I shouldn't call him brother, you should get this Negro who is the attorney general. He goes in because he has political aspirations, and he's in the state of Kentucky. And there are not a lot of black people in the great state or great commonwealth of Kentucky. And so then this young man comes out and says, oh, he was perfectly justified. So the only charge you have in the Breonna Taylor case, shooting a building.
Mm-hmm.
Not Breonna Taylor, shooting a building.
Wasn't there something to where the neighbor's apartment or something?
Yeah, neighbor's apartment, wasn't even her apartment.
Yeah.
And he's sitting there, and I don't want you guys to get into all the emotions. And you just going up here, excuse my language, nigga, please. Mm-hmm. Anyway, let me get the call. Get me all upset, man. I love all African people all over the world.
Sure you do.
Yeah, I do. Call them over to the program.
Good morning, Mr. Parris.
Brother Christopher.
Thank you for taking my call. Assalamu alaikum to you.
Alaikum salam.
Yes, sir. I was just listening to you when I was coming from the gas station. You were talking about America, and you all were talking about scriptures, and many are called, but the chosen are a few. Mm-hmm. And in the Holy Quran, Allah says that Allah takes the kingdom from whomever He pleases, and He gives it to whomever He pleases. And also in the Holy Quran, it states that there are some scriptures are allegorical and some of the scriptures are decisive. And you are to take the decisive scriptures over the allegorical, because our people are so caught up in imaginary things as opposed to realistic things. Like the Bible says that we are inobservant of the obvious. You know, our people are so spooked out and messed up in the head about reality that they will mystify a tree. And it's a tree. You know, you put a seed in the ground and, you know, you water or make it germinate, and then it shoots up a shoot and it extends its roots down into the earth. Our people have been so totally mentally warped with regard to what's really going on. And when it comes to America, America was not established for a free enterprise. America was to be the first and only free Masonic nation. And if people can't see this, it's everywhere. It's all over. It's on the money. It's the layout of the United States Capitol, DC. It's built on a pentagram, or what is that? The compass and the square. I mean, all of these things, they make movies to tell you these things, and that's not to take the movie as literal. But our people are so screwed up. The Bible says that we are destroyed for the lack of knowledge, not Greek mythology, not the garbage that they indoctrinate you in the schools where people go learn the Bible. It really is ridiculous to me. Or the other schools that people go to and they become indoctrinated with a degree of this or a degree of that, and they think that they have arrived. And until our people accept, as the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, that every young boy or man and young boy should join the Nation of Islam or become FOI, our people are never going to be successful as a group. And then we're not a monolith. Well, your suppression and your oppression is monolithic because it applies to everyone. Although there may be little sparks of what you might perceive as independence, because some of the Black people may have been elevated for whatever reason. You have so many things that are stacked against us as Black people. And Black people are diehards when it comes to everyone else manifesting their reality as opposed to our own. And it's ridiculous. And then you go on the last thing. And I remember in the scripture, the Bible, about Sodom and Gomorrah, Lot was the only person that came up out of there. You know, so I don't think Allah is going to raise a homosexual to lead men into the hereafter.
I thought you just said that Allah chooses whomever Allah chooses. Caller, welcome to the program. That could be a homosexual. Caller, welcome to the program. Good morning. Caller, are you there? Forward caller. No? Okay. All right. Maybe they stepped away. They thought Christopher was going to be a little long. Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, what's happening, bro?
Hey. Y'all, come on now. Lies. We got to get over these lies, man, and look at the big picture. We, the people of these here so-called chimera with the kin on the end of it. We were on these lands first. The Indians, the Indians wasn't. What was they tribe called? The know nothing. After all these concentration camps before that, it was, what was it? The work something. We wasn't slaves. This is where we come from. This Bible that y'all talking of, we know nothing of that. The Europeans brung all that nonsense over here for some people to use it against your people. Come on, like, if I say the bread is brown and you somebody bring a white piece of bread, it was brown first. We got to stop falling for this okey-doke garbage. And that's what happened. This Christianity. We wasn't into no Christianity.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think that you're right that many of our ancestors were not, in fact, Christian. As a matter of fact, probably more Muslim who came over than Christians, because our conversion to Christianity did not happen until enslavement. And then it wasn't right away of enslavement, because part of the problem that Europeans had was that once you became a Christian, there was a way that you had to be treated. And so they can no longer, based on that, treat you subhumanly because you're part of the Christian movement. And then when they decided, oh, I don't know who the sociologist or psychologist was who said, but if you give them religion, that will make them docile. And then if the religion is promoting the enslavement, which that's pretty much what it did, the kind of scriptures that you got. Because when you looked at the slave Bible, we used this term redacted, that anything that talked about full humanship, anything that talked about liberation, that was taken out of the Black people's Bible, right? Yeah. So the only thing you got was slave, obey your master. Now, for some people, they don't think that that's problematic. That's just in the Bible. No, that is problematic. That is problematic. And I try not to, I know sometimes in our litany, in our liturgy, that this comes up as a scripture, but no, I do not endorse enslavement. I do not endorse any kind of suppression, any kind of exploitation of any people. Whether and if the Bible says that, I disagree with the Bible. And that gets us back again to, now this is Keith, okay? This gets us back to this capricious and arbitrary God where, God favors Debo over Keith. What's the criteria? And I understand that Allah and the Creator can choose whomever they want to choose. I'm clear on that, if that's what you believe. But, the world is bigger than Islam. The world is bigger than Christianity. Okay. Yes. And so it's all these people here, all of us who are the products of creation.
People. You and me are the indigenous people to this here land here. We are the Indians. You can't even look up where National Indians came about, and they was fighting for rights. You can go back and find. Well, I got some stuff. You can find out the year they was fighting for rights, especially the no nothings. Am I saying them right? The no nothings.
Oh, the no nothings. No nothing part.
Yeah, the no nothings. Yeah. They was like, come on. We need to wake up and stop playing the game with these people. Yeah. We ain't the way we are for no reason.
And I believe this. My religion should liberate me. My religion should not suppress me.
Not your religion, your earthly bound where you are.
Well, but I practice a religion. I practice religion.
I practice none of that crap. Okay, listen,
I respect that.
I'm sorry. I apologize. I don't mean it like that.
Oh, no. I got it.
I don't mean it like that. What I'm trying to say is, people need to stop asking for reparations. They ain't gonna give you reparations. Your reparations is your land. We had money with your uncle on the front of it, coins with your uncle on the front of it. This was us until we got manipulated by that book. So it was people. Black people went in no concentration camps or what they call them. Where they live on a mass of land.
Reservations.
No, they had their own land.
Well, but at least indigenous people can do land claims. Many of us can't even do land claims. They have treaties, most of them that have been violated with the U.S. government, because what happens is
they don't supposed to be having nothing on this here.
Right, because when they moved the southeastern indigenous people to Oklahoma, and they moved them there because they wanted the land that was part of the Southeast, moved them to Oklahoma, and then they get to Oklahoma, and then they find oil in Oklahoma, and guess who's on that land? Indigenous people. So now you have to figure out a way to remove them off the land or exploit them. They're indigenous to here.
You're right, and it was black people. It wasn't no fake. These fake. They don't even come from here. You can't even look them up. There was a little black girl that owns a bunch of that land, and they put a white man as her overseer. Yo, that was a true story.
Oh, you're talking about the God, what is it? Blood on, have you seen that? What is it? Blood on the Harvest Moon? I would suggest people see that. And again, it talks about how the indigenous native people had been put on land. They discovered the oil. And so now
the 70s, Keith, people were saying that natives crap.
Well, I mean, you got to call people, because unfortunately in this European dominated world, we use this false construct of race as a classification of people. We are people who come from a particular ethnic group of people, but we use terms like black. And I love when someone said, we came over here Igbo, we came over here this, we came over here that, these very particular ethnic groups in Africa, and they put us on the slave ship. And when we got here, everybody was black. Irrespective of what might have been cultural differences in these groups, it didn't matter. You put them all together, and there was something that Christopher said, and so then that is the monolith. The monolith becomes how we react to people who look a certain way, i.e. us, and the policies and the systems that are put in place, right, that subjugates us and that exploits us. If you look at where poor people are,
everything about us.
Right. And I'm just saying,
I'm sorry.
No, go on, bro.
Okay, and let me just I'm gonna get this off, and I'm gonna hang up. The pink dude, what's his name? Who running for president? Back in the 70s, you remember it was a thing. He went to Congress. He wanted to open up a casino back in the 70s, and people didn't pay attention. But I saw this clip with him in front of Congress talking about, you won't let me have a casino, but you got these native Indians,
right,
and you give these people these tax-free casinos, but the other ones, you put them in these ghettos.
Wasn't that Donald Trump?
Yeah, that was Donald Trump. And people act like that. I mean, come on now. We are the other ones. Okay, I don't want to kill that, but it's a movie called The Beekeeper. You saw that yet?
No, I've seen it. But I haven't watched it yet.
Okay, if that actually was in effect today, none of this nonsense would be going on. Look at it. It's free. It's free. It's on HBO or Showtime, one of those. So I love y'all, my brothers, and April 20th. Y'all have a great day.
All right, man. Appreciate you. Yeah, he makes make a great point. I think that is just what makes racism so perplexing on a lot of different levels. We have a break on it. Let's keep going. All right, have a caller. Good morning, caller. Welcome to the program. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for taking my call.
You're welcome.
And you know something? It seems like we have a problem with slavery, slave, and servitude, or servant. And I think when you have unhealthy relationships with those words, you have to do something that it makes sense to you. When I was working on my job, and people just, they were racist. Okay, let's just go on and face it. They didn't want you there. They didn't want you to have those good benefits. And so my mother always said, pray for them, that they will just get over this thing. She said, you're not working for them. You're working for the Lord. So you do the best job you can while you're there and show them that you're worthy of what you're doing. And that's what I did. In my mind, I didn't get above. And then it's the same thing in my Christian faith and my walk with Christ is you have to be like a child. You can't take all of your knowledge, which will not, the little bit you know, it'll be a wound on the top of the needle for some more knowledge, okay? And when it comes to God, a person who has created this awesome body that we have, how it operates, how it works, his depth is so deeper than ours. And you can't define him by going and reading another book that he gave the intelligence to a man to write. It's just like, instead of worshiping God, you're going to worship the sun and the moon and the grass and the animals. Well, that's not the person you should be worshiping. And when you read, and it kills you. Once, how can, just like the people that, in these wars, they'll go and kill people because their reward is in heaven. So it's like, it's nothing you can say. They'll go we're from America. We want to come back a hero. Okay. It's not about dying and then, what's the reward in that? But once you are committed to something, there's nothing no one else can do can change that ideology. If you don't have a foundation of belief, then you're like a leaf flapping all over the place. You don't have to agree with me. I'm going to love you anyway, and I'm going to respect your position, but we can move on. And we can agree to one thing. We want to see the United States operate in a democracy, regardless as to what our religious affiliations are. That's the one thing that we want. It's the freedom to make choices. And I think when we iron those things out and know that I'm not here because I'm giving up on what I believe in. I'm here because I want everyone to enjoy life and have. But if you deprive me from having, do you think you're going to enjoy your life? You're going to take something from a person that's accustomed to having and think they're going to be subordinate to you? And that's the arrogance of white people.
So let me ask you a question.
The arrogance of some educated Black folks trying to fit in places.
May I ask you a question?
Someone don't want you.
May I ask you a
question?
question?
Know what I'm saying?
Yes.
We all have
Can
to
she hear me?
with things. Or we don't have to fall out. Families don't even go at the same time to visit their mother because of their beliefs or their political beliefs, or they can't come to the same dinner table. That is sad.
May I ask a question?
Yes.
Okay. If I'm a Christian, should I accept being a slave?
Okay. Number one, I have to look at the situation. God, everybody wants to blame God for something. Okay. When the slaves came over here and they were captured, you're in a situation that's beyond your control. So the one thing that's in your mind is, I have to survive. How am I going to do that? So it's a daily walk that you have to do this thing and see what happens to it. Did you see 12 Years a Slave?
Yeah, I kind of started watching
that was very interesting.
But but I don't know if maybe you did answer my question.
Okay.
If I'm a Christian,
it's a lot of things we in.
Should I accept being a slave because
parents that were stricter than I don't know what? You're a slave to something, whether you like it or not.
But I'm talking about now real slavery. I'm talking about your freedom is respect. Somebody else tells you what you can and cannot do with your body.
Okay,
do I accept that as a Christian?
Think about what you just said. What you can and cannot do. Is that not what's happening to us right now? Is it not what the Republicans want to do with women's body? Tell us what we can and cannot do. And if we don't vote, we go right back in slavery if we don't use our head.
Should we accept that as Christians?
No. Now, that is something you can do something about. We can vote and change those things. But when we're talking to young people that have jobs and somebody make an ignorant statement to them, well, you're just a slave to this job. So that's right. And I got 8 hours to spend it here with you.
But I'm not, I think that's more of that's more metaphorical. I'm talking about really where you are a slave. I'm talking about a slave. You have, with your job, you can quit, right? If you don't like your job and you're frustrated on your job, you can quit. You can't quit if you're a slave.
Okay. It's some people in situations right now. It's some women in households that are married to men that have a backwards way of thinking and they're in slavery. Okay? So what do? You have to think your way out of things. You got to pray your way out of it, because those are situations you can get out of. But if
if you're a slave, you have to pray your way out of enslavement.
Oh yeah, people did get out of it, didn't
they? And I don't know how much of it was prayer and how much of it was the Civil War.
You know something? We all have to wrestle with something. And some of us are suffering so much more than others with this thing of slavery. Don't let it beat you down.
Okay.
And that's all I can say.
All right.
We just got to keep working it out.
All right. Appreciate it.
You have a great day.
All right. Caller, welcome to the program. Good morning.
Keith, let me answer this question because she didn't want to answer. Listen, we are prisoners of war. We were slaves. We became prisoners of war. And everybody else got their land back after some time. It's time for them to give us our land back and our gold back. See, people be so twisted up in this religion. Let me stop talking like that. People be twisted in this religion that they just run off with stuff, man. Pray about it. Do they know where the God at? Do they look at the twinkle in their eye? Do they know what the body shows you? Do they actually know, or they just reading these things that people done wrote in this book? And it's in the book though, but they don't teach you the stuff that's really in the book about the God in you. I just don't get it.
So
I pray about it. You're supposed to be praying to who? Yourself.
Yeah, and look, I'm not trying to diminish the power of prayer.
I ain't trying to diminish none of that. I just want people to
I'm just saying in terms of, I'm sure that there were enslaved Africans who was praying. I know they was praying.
And they was praying.
But until the Civil War, right?
So
and then, the 13th, 14th Amendment, that ended enslavement, but then we turned around and we did something else, right? We start Jim Crow, we do segregation, we do all these things, and people were praying. I mean, there's some things that you got to fight about, and then the question is,
if they would have did what they learned, how to fend for themselves and hunt, and took that hunt and hunted against the people that were trying to enslave them.
Right. So when you mentioned earlier land, in terms of giving our land back.
Yeah.
Saying that we're not originally from here, does that mean that we get to go back to where we're originally from and get some land?
Who said we ain't originally from here?
Well,
we are from here.
No, we're from Africa.
Yes. No, we are not from Africa.
We are from Africa.
This is Africa. You own Africa right now.
No, I'm not on Africa. I'm in North America right now.
Keith, they done mess with the map so bad, dude. Yeah.
All I know is that we got here by boat.
Everything.
We got here by boat. Okay, so that's where the majority of people that look like you and I got here. All right, so this ain't our indigenous land. We actually on Hopi land, and we're on Mesquite land. That's who we're on. This is not our land.
You're on Tamarian land.
Okay, I'm just saying. So when people say that you want land, where do we get the land? I'll never forget. I was having an interview with
this is your land right here.
This is not my land right here.
Yes, it is. It's Keith, all down through Mississippi, Chicago, St. Louis, all of dude. Y'all don't believe this. I need to travel a little more and stay out them restaurants and them hotels and go through the land.
You didn't went to Mississippi, man.
No, man, no, we ain't from here. That's okay. We don't have to be from here. We've been here, but we ain't from here.
We've been here before everybody came here.
We were.
Everybody, the Europeans, they wouldn't have got welcome here And to Big Mama saved their lives. Because the Queen wanted to kill every last one of them.
Where did Big Mama come from?
They can come.
Where's Big Mama's indigenous roots? That
Timerian.
landmass we call Africa.
Timerian. It is right here. Okay. It's here.
I think it's that landmass called Africa, but I could be wrong. Y'all correct me.
Dude, all that statues and all them oh my God, I hate when y'all get me all hypered up. Man, I really do, because y'all be messing up my whole spiel.
He go to stuttering and everything, man. You see, he worked up, man. He riled this morning.
It's okay. It's okay. It's okay for people that look like you and I to be from Africa. That's okay.
Pyramids over here.
That's okay.
Over here. And they still trying to figure them out.
They do have some pyramids down in Mexico. I think they're Mayan. Right. That they built them down in Mexico.
In Mississippi. In
they got pyramids in Mississippi.
Yes.
Where in Mississippi?
Yes. Tennessee.
Oh, that's the arena.
From you go.
That's the only pyramid I've seen. The one which I thought was built precariously close to the Mississippi River, the pyramid down in Memphis.
You talk about the Bryant Pro Shop.
Right. But that was the old pyramid. But that is like 8 inches from the river. If there's ever a flood, it's gone, right? And you see how close it is to the river?
It ain't gone.
Okay, be all right.
But it needs to be gone.
Because I know they said that at times they had to pump water out when it would get. Okay. All right, man. Well, appreciate you, man.
All right. I'm telling you.
All right. Caller, welcome to the program.
Good morning, Keith.
Good morning, man. Where are you from? Mississippi?
From the soil.
From the soil.
From the soil and from the spirit. I mean, you should have learned that a couple of weeks ago.
Why can't we be from Africa? What's wrong with being from Africa? That's okay.
Africa's soil. I mean, there's soil there.
A lot of soil.
But I mean, we're spiritual beings in human form.
Right, but I don't have a problem being from Africa.
Well, I don't either. I don't either. But I mean, a lot of us have, which I'm gonna, a lot of us are, the mixing has been done. I mean, a lot of indigenous tribes there have some of us in them. Which I wanted to say was, I appreciate all the calls and everything this morning. Good morning, Debo. Good morning, Milwaukee. Tyrone W. speaking.
You kidding?
Huh?
You kidding? It's Tyrone W.
Yeah. It sounded like him, didn't it?
Yeah. Well,
What's up, T?
He had too many onions last night.
I'm gonna do that recipe though.
Hey, well, I mean, it's just basically just letting the charcoal and the smoke get to the onions, and then put it on the last night.
I'm gonna try that.
It's good, man. I mean, it was talking about lip smacking good, man. Those burgers.
So, brother Tyrone, why do you think do you think that we're confused?
About what?
As a people, do you think we're confused?
Well, I mean, there's contradictions all over the place here, and okay. Because I mean, it's clear that the Constitution is in contradiction to itself there. I mean, because what we're speaking about here is a lot of the different treaties. See, when you're talking about Congress and the Senate and all that, there should be a representative from each tribe in Washington, D.C. on those things there. And even in the Pentagon, there should be representatives for each tribe there representing not only each tribe there, but the true references of the land. That's what's missing, because the treaties aren't being honored. So therefore, if the treaties aren't being honored, then how can the Constitution stand on its face about what it's supposed to be representing? It can't, because it's contradicting itself, because it's not allowing the treaties to be the true essence of the treaties. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So in other words, if you're not honoring the treaties, then how can the Constitution be honored? So therefore, if I'm not allowing you your proper diligence on you, where I've got you on a reservation, you don't have running water, you ain't got toilets, you ain't got all that stuff there. But I'm telling you, you got to stay here. I mean, look at what they've done. Look at Osage. Just look at Osage. Look at the Trail of the Bloody Tears there for the Cherokee. the Alamo, Wounded Knee, Dakotas, and the Apache and the Navajo. Man, I mean, why are they doing this to all these people? You know, I mean, the treaties aren't even being honored. So there's confusion and there's contradiction as far as, you know, answering your question, you know, blatantly. So yes, it is. And the Constitution, you know, I mean, if we get to a point in this country here where it bottoms out, talking about the parking lot throwdown, I mean, you know, that's what it's going to be. I mean, you're talking about January 6th. Well, you know, let's go back. You know, what do you think? What would you call Greenwood, Archer, and Pine in Tulsa, Oklahoma? What was that? So, I mean, it contradicts itself. You're talking about the young man there that the police did that to him. Well, what about the young lady that did the same thing down in Texas when she talked about, well, I was at the wrong place here, but I wanted to, you know, she did it. She did the same thing that this man did to him.
Yeah. Plus
Breonna Taylor. So the Constitution contradicts itself many times over, and it hasn't justified anything that it's been doing. It's almost like they've put the blindfold on the lady holding the scale there, saying, "Well, you're blindfolded. We don't care about what you know. We don't believe what you see, and we don't care what you think. Just hold this scale here, and we'll tip it any kind of way we want to." That's what it means by the justice being blind, or, you know, justice being blind there. Because why is she blindfolded? First of all, she's a Caucasian woman blindfolded, which lets you know what they think about her, which is a little dirt. And, you know, so yeah, it's messed up.
All right, man.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. Let me do this caller real quick. I'm gonna throw this in. Let's see here. Fort Laramie Treaty. I was just looking at the number of treaties signed and violated by the U.S. government with indigenous people in 1868. In this treaty signed at Fort Laramie and other military posts in what is now Wyoming, the U.S. government recognized the Black Hills of Dakota as the Great Sioux Reservation, the exclusive territory of the Sioux, Dakota, Lakota, and Nakota, and the Arapaho people. But after gold was discovered in the Black Hills, miners and settlers began moving onto the land en masse, right? Which led to the Battle of Little Bighorn in 1876. In 1980, the Supreme Court ruled that the Black Hills were illegally confiscated and awarded the Sioux more than $100 million in reparations. Sioux leaders rejected the payment, saying the land has never been for sale. Controversy continues, and I think that money is sitting in escrow right now. They refuse to take the money. How about that? Every time you move them on land, they find a mineral, they move them off the land. Caller, welcome to the program.
Hey, good morning, my man. Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yeah, good, brother.
You know what? This is the danger in TikTok and Google and all of this mess.
Information.
These people get educated, and you go on TikTok and you hear real idiots just like they just made something up, and people are sitting there gobbling this stuff up to be Bible, to be gospel. I mean, let's be realistic. I just heard a lot of things, man, and I was trying not to call in because this is one of my topics. But when you start talking about that Bible, and you guilty of this, Keith, you're guilty of it, man. You turn on your own belief that has been put in you and installed in you as a kid. See, and you never get too old to change what mama and them put in you because it worked for them. Hey man, look here, when it comes down to certain things, we have to hold on to it, and we've gotten rid of it. It's just like some of the old.
Give me an example. Give me an example, Mitch.
Which example? I mean, for what we hold on to?
Yeah, you said something we need to hold on to. Give me an example of that.
Well, you trying to corner me. But I will. But that's okay, because I'm going to box my way out of it.
All right, put the gloves on. Let's see what's happening.
Listen. Here's one that mama and them put in us. They said, hey, listen, don't take candy from strangers. And as we get older, we manipulate that rule. That's why we got missing people, missing kids molested, grown people killed, grown people being abducted. Because when we get older, we manipulate that rule. The rule was never take candy from strangers, never talk to strangers, and God forbid, never get in the car with a stranger. But when we get older as men, we see a stranger. We say, hey, baby, what's going on? How far you got to go? Okay, that's the man's side. The woman's side is she might flatter with her eyes or with her hips or whatever, and she'll take a ride. She'll ask for candy. She'll work in a strip club. She'll take candy. Mama and them done told us now, don't take no candy from strangers. But when we get older, we manipulate that rule. That's one example, okay? So everybody can understand in layman's stuff. They understand that worldly stuff.
Okay, so whoa. Let me get this straight. When Big Mama told me don't accept candy from strangers, people ended up on strip poles. Is that what you're telling me?
Only taking candy from strangers. When you surround yourself with a bunch of men and you in a club, you taking candy from strangers. Okay.
It was strange for change.
Well, I preach that message, doing something strange for some change.
I'd love to hear that song.
I'd love to hear that one. That's going to be up there like all we wanted was a quickie.
I get you a copy of it because all through the Bible, somebody was doing something strange for change. And then I bring it on to the cross. To whereas Jesus spit on the ground. That was strange for a blind man's change. You know, I brought it on home. But anyway, listen. Let me quit giving y'all that. God give it to you.
You brought it full circle. You brought it full circle, didn't you?
Yeah, you have to. But anyway, look, man, let me say something to you. Everybody coming in beating up the Bible this morning. That's because they haven't studied the Bible.
They're not beating up. No, Meech, that's a mischaracterization. They're not beating up the Bible. It's a critique on certain things taken from the Bible. That is not beating up on the Bible. That is a critique. And that's what we should do, right?
Well, you can critique it, maybe me and you in rooms with the doors closed.
No.
When you critique it publicly like this, you get people calling in with every doctrine and they done disearned it the way they want to, and now the world is in a shambles. One guy called in and said, we didn't come from, this was a white man's book. Look, if he read the Bible, he would realize that the second scripture in Genesis talks about the rivers running through Ethiopia. If you look at the scriptures, you will see the word Cush. See, this is where they don't understand. If you look at the word Cush and Hamites, you'll see that these are black people, brother. Okay. Now, when we got here, the white man has took a lot of he's stolen a lot of legacy from black people. Uh-huh. I mean, even if you look at Israel right now, I'm on Israel's side. Okay. The reason why I'm on Israel's side because my concern is the land. It ain't the people that has occupied the land, but my thing is the land because one day if God don't blow the sky high and it's all over with, the black man just might possess that land rightfully his again. Okay. So when you're looking at the book, the second scripture in Genesis, the second chapter, about the 13th or 14th verse, it talks about Ethiopia. If you look at Moses, he married an Ethiopian woman, and guess what? They couldn't hardly tell the two. So that tell me that Moses' skin tone was just as dark as that Ethiopian.
Well, okay. I guess I got to ask this question: why does that matter?
Because people call it.
I'm not agreeing with the anthropology on it, but even if the anthropology was true, why does that matter? Why does it matter, or why is it important that black people need to see black people in the Bible? Why is that important?
Because somebody made an argument in the 30s, really. Well, no, we go all the way back to Timothy Drew Ali. They made the argument that this is the white man's book. And you done gave the white man everything else. What you giving him your book for?
Black people didn't write the Bible?
Everything. Huh?
Black people didn't write the Bible?
Brother, let me explain something to you. The word Greece, when you come down to the European, the word Greece is only mentioned about 26 times. The word Rome, hold on. We're talking about Europeans. The word Rome is only mentioned in the Bible probably about 20 times. So
yeah, but when Rome is mentioned, Rome has an outsized. Rome is the reason why we have the crucifixion, right? Because only Romans crucified. So when you talk about Rome,
that's not the truth.
That is true.
The Romans adopted the hold on, brother. Hold on, no.
You're right. I shouldn't have said only.
The Bible is crucifixion.
Crucifixion,
you're
though.
take a break right now, right?
Right. No, you're right. Let me take
crucifixion didn't come from no Romans. The Romans adopted the crucifixion.
Who used it?
That's by a group called the Carthaginians.
Who used it?
The Carthaginians, they the ones that created that way of execution. Okay? And why did they do that? Why did they pick a cross? Because they didn't believe that the blood of a diabolic criminal should touch the ground and defile the ground, they should know that the ground was already defiled when man sinned. God cursed the ground. And guess what? Out of the ground came thorns and thistles. But he was so good, you know what he did?
Out the ground came
cotton,
out the ground came fruit, out the ground came a whole lot of stuff. So I don't know how.
No, the food was already there, Chief.
You said he cursed the land.
He cursed the land.
When God curses something, that's usually pretty bad.
Make man all over again. Because had he made man all over again, man would be in terrible shape. Because the ground was cursed. But, he caused thorns. The book says he caused thorns and thistles to come about. And he was so good after he seen that old ugly thorn keep, he put a beautiful rose on the end. Hey, Doc. Hey, man, when you going to call me so we can really have a theological discussion?
I don't know, bro. I'm going to have to do that, won't I?
I know you're afraid, man.
Yeah.
You're afraid. Yeah, you're afraid. And I don't blame you.
We're inside Say Something Real. We're on the last break of the program. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. You scared?
Hello, I'm Vanessa, co-chair of the Juneteenth Vendors.
I am Frank, co-chair of the Juneteenth Volunteers.
Juneteenth is fastly approaching and space is always limited. So if you have an interest in being a vendor, you need to sign up today.
Juneteenth would not be successful unless we have volunteers. We need volunteers for a multitude of different areas. So companies, corporations, organizations, Divine Nine, even families, please sign up to be volunteers today.
So call Northcott Neighborhood House today at 414-372-3770.
Vendors and volunteers call today at 414-372-3770.
Thank you.
Join the Wisconsin Black Chamber of Commerce every third Thursday at 10 a.m. inside Community Voice with Keith Parris for the Black Chamber Moment. Tune in as we discuss business, networking, and money as we make Black people the largest employer of Black people here on 860 WNOV and 106.5 FM.
Great impressions will exceed your expectations. Great impressions, perceptions, everything.
Looking to leave a lasting impression? Look no further than Great Impressions Graphics and Printing. With over 25 years of experience, we're your one-stop shop for all things printing. Whether it's custom invitations, banners, apparel, or high-quality on-time funeral programs, we've got you covered. Planning a family reunion? We'd love to help. Visit our website at greatimpress.com or give us a call at 414-536-7646 to start your next project today. We're here when you need us.
Great impressions, perceptions, everything.
All right, welcome back to Say Something Real, and I'm your guest host, Keith Parris, sitting in for Miss Michelle Bryant as we wind down another program and get out the way. Get out the way for me. Anyway, no, I just asked that question, and I just wanted to know why that is so important. That we see Black people in the Bible. It just seemed to me. I understand those roots and how these things are related and hooked up, and you have a situation where obviously the Jewish people who were in Egypt and then all that Eastern Africa, but if you actually go through and you find that some folks will have, but usually, and I only say that differentiation because we are many of us are descendants of West African people. Okay, I'll say that again. We're descendants of West African people. And so that's why I think it gets a little problematic. And so when I say that, I think it's the matter of the truth that we're able to extract from the scriptures and how we then apply those truths to our lives. All right, let me thank everybody for being part of Say Something Real. Okay, I'll come right back.
Now let's go to the Northwest Funeral Chapel with a word of the good news from Brother Frazier. Good morning, Brother Frazier. How you feeling? I don't know if you heard me, Brother Frazier. Are you still there?
I'm here. We got disconnected on the cell phone, so I call you on my landline.
All right. Go right ahead, Brother Frazier.
All right. Good morning, Debo. Good morning, Reverend Keith. Good morning, everyone. This is J.C. Frazier with Northwest Funeral Chapel, inviting your attention to the following announcements. Memorial services for Miss Eloise Robinson will be held on today at 1 p.m. at Northwest Funeral Chapel. Visitation for Mr. William Jackson will be held on Wednesday at 10 a.m. at Northwest Funeral Chapel. Funeral services for Mr. Aretha Scott will be held on Thursday at 1 p.m. at Hopewell Baptist Church. Visitation for Mr. Conway Nimmer Sr. will be held on Friday at 10 a.m. at Northwest Funeral Chapel. Funeral services for Mr. William Hawthorne will be held on Friday at 1 p.m. at Northwest Funeral Chapel. Funeral services for Mr. Robert Crawford will be held on Friday at 1 p.m. at Wisconsin Memorial Park, Chapel of the Chimes. Let us continue to remember in our prayers the families of Miss Jennifer Beeman and Miss Virginia Taylor. If you would like to offer your condolences to our families, you may do so by visiting our website at northwestfuneralchapel.com. We invite you to join us here each week for these announcements from Northwest Funeral Chapel. We're located at 6630 West Hampton Avenue. Our phone number is 414-462-6020. This is J.C. Frazier wishing each of you a safe and pleasant day. And now thought for my Sunday school lesson for Sunday, May 19th, 2024. The title of this week's lesson is Reconciled to God. The scriptural text for this lesson is taken from Romans chapter 5, verses 1 through 11. Reading from the New Living Translation of the Bible, verses 1 through 5, read as follows. Therefore, since we have been justified or made right in God's sight by faith, we have peace with God because of what Jesus Christ our Lord has done for us. Because of our faith, Christ has brought us into this place of undeserved privilege where we now stand, and we confidently and joyfully look forward to sharing God's glory. We can rejoice, too, when we run into problems and trials, for we know that they help us develop endurance, and endurance develops strength of character, and character strengthens our confident hope of salvation. And this hope will not lead to disappointment, for we know how dearly God loves us because he has given us the Holy Spirit to fill our hearts with his love. You may recall
WNOV 860 and W293CX 106.5 Milwaukee. The views and opinions expressed on this show do not reflect that of the staff and